Big boost coming to HSA contributions for 2024. Some families could save over $10,000 into their HSA next year. I've got those details and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. I love the HSA. And why? Because of its tax versatility. That's right, versatility. So most people think HSA, health savings account, this is money that I save up into and maybe I get some tax benefits and then I use it for medical expenses. And yeah, that's true. However, it could be much more than that. Number one, and I'm just going to get this out of the way, it's not use it or lose it. The HSA is your money. The flexible savings account, flexible spending account, whatever you want to use that S in the acronym for, that money is use it or lose it, bar just a slight change that they've made recently. But the HSA, it's your money. It's your money. If you have an eligible or qualifying high deductible health plan, okay? And high deductible isn't just, it's a relative term. It's not just your opinion. It's got to be HSA eligible. It's got to be IRS eligible, okay? Qualifying high deductible health plan. Then you're able, not required, you're able to open up a health savings account, bank account, and save money into it, contribute money into it. If you do so, when you do so, you get a tax deduction for the amount that you contributed that year, up into a certain limit. You're obviously limited. That's the topic of today's video. And but then that money, if it earns some interest or you invest it and it grows for you, all that growth and interest and everything, that's tax sheltered, so it doesn't land on your tax return. And then you can use that money both immediately or at a future point, sometime in the future, for eligible medical expenses. And what are those? Well, there's a whole bunch of them. Okay, that's just, it's not limitless, but there's a lot of them. Any, prescription or insurance bill, that sort of thing, doctor visits, all that sort of stuff, you can use your HSA money for. Contacts, glasses, dental visits, all that stuff, okay? And when you pull that money out of your HSA, it went in pre-tax, it was all tax sheltered, all the growth and any interest was tax sheltered. When you pull it out for a qualifying medical expense, tax-free. It's one of the very few things in the tax code, arguably the only one, where it's pre-tax in, tax-free out. So extremely, extremely versatile. Makes a lot of sense if you're in a high tax bracket today, even if you're in a low tax bracket today, if you have medical expenses out there in the future, if you think that you could earn some interest on this and this could be, some tax-free earnings and then cover some medical expenses that we know we'll all have in the future. The HSA makes a ton of sense. There's even some advanced tax planning and financial planning strategies we've talked a lot about, and I'd encourage you to work with your CFP on. So, love the HSA. Love the HSA for those of you that are eligible. But I mentioned there's a limit on your contributions. And every single year, just like a Roth IRA or a 401k, the IRS sets certain limits. Well, they've already come out with what those limits are going to be for 2024. Guys, it's a huge increase. Okay, so take a look at this chart here comparing 2023 contribution limits for the HSA compared to 2024. And you might look at this and it's all relative and say, well, those are just dollars, not that much. Over a 7% increase. Over a 7% increase. And yes, we saw big increases in 401k contribution limits and that sort of stuff last year due to inflation. But now we're seeing inflation, at least how they calculate it, it's coming down a little bit. So gosh, this is exciting to see that an over 7% increase in your HSA contributions. In 2023, your contribution limit for self only, $3,850. That's going to jump to $4,150 in 24. Family coverage, $7,750 is your contribution limit in 2023. That increases to $8,300 for a family plan in 2024. Why did I mention at the very beginning that you could save up to 10 grand a year in your HSA? Well, that is if you are eligible for a catch-up contribution. That's right. If you're age 55 or older, then you can put an extra $1,000 of catch-up contribution for. So for family coverage, $8,300 will be your contribution limit for 2024. If you are age 55 or older, you can do an additional $1,000, so make that $9,300. And if your spouse, if it's a family plan and you're married, spouse, if they are 55 or older, they can contribute $1,000 to an HSA in their name as well, making your total family contribution $10,300. That again is a meaningful deduction on your tax return this year, or 2024, and you can use those dollars, withdraw them tax-free, as well as any interest or gains that you have on them tax-free for qualifying medical expenses out there in the future. So, big deal, are you using the HSA properly and appropriately for your overall financial situation? Couple things that I'd point out. Number one, there's two ways to get money into an HSA, and this could bring even greater tax benefits, especially with these higher contribution limits. The first way, and our favorite way that you can contribute to your HSA, is if your employer allows you to, right out of your paycheck. When you contribute directly out of your paycheck, that money, yes, saves you, those contributions to your HSA, save you federal tax and state tax, but they also avoid FICA tax. That's right, that four-letter F word. FICA tax means, so FICA tax is 6.2% is Social Security, 1.45% is Medicare taxes. So that means this income, whether it's 10 grand, $10,300, or in your situation, $4,150, whatever it is, okay? Whatever amount you're contributing right out of your paycheck avoids federal tax, state tax, and FICA tax. It does mean that income isn't included in your Social Security calculation, but that typically for most people, they'd make that trade. Okay, that's fine. My Social Security is calculated on 35 years of earning, and I'm okay having a little bit of money. Avoid the Social Security tax and avoid showing up on my Social Security calculation. That's great. So that's an extra 7.65% in savings for many of you. That's our favorite way to make the contribution to the HSA, is directly out of your paycheck. If you aren't able to do that, for some reason don't do that, then the other way to make a contribution is right out of your checking account, right out of your pocket. And when you do that, then it becomes a deduction on the front page of your tax return, so it saves you federal and state tax, does not save you FICA. So be aware there's two ways to contribute to your HSA. Second pointer I'd make right now is that you can contribute to your HSA up until your tax filing deadline, right? So up until April 15. So, and we see this all the time, even did a video about it, as we're doing taxes for folks in the spring, February, March, something like that, we're taking a look, and on their W-2, it doesn't look like they've maxed out their HSA. So many people look and they fund their HSA out of their paycheck based on what they believe they can afford from a take-home pay standpoint. Well, then when they go to do their taxes, they're looking and saying, or we're looking and saying, well, you're set to get a $2,000 refund. There's an extra $1,000 that you could put in your HSA, so you could, in a way, use your refund to max out your HSA. That increases your refund sum, and you'll use that money for qualifying medical expenses in the future, and it would come out tax-free. Is that something you want to do? So being aware that, yes, while it's beneficial, most beneficial, to contribute to your HSA right out of your paycheck, being aware that if you don't max it out, you can contribute to your HSA up until the tax filing deadline, April 15. And the last two things that I'd mention on the HSA for sort of planning opportunities is if you are on insurance through healthcare.gov or Obamacare or Affordable Care Act health insurance, whatever you want to call it, and you're getting premium tax credits, meaning the monthly premium that you pay for your health insurance is reduced because of your income, and therefore you're getting some subsidies, if you will. If your income is too high when you go and prepare your tax return, then you've got to repay those tax subsidies, and it's very painful. It's not enjoyable, let me tell you. Well, making sure that you pick a health insurance plan through healthcare.gov that's HSA eligible gives you the ability to say, ooh, the income did come in higher than I expected. On my tax return, I've got to repay some of these premium tax credits. Oh wait, let me contribute to my HSA. That brings my income lower, and that helps reduce or completely avoid the premium tax credits that I need to repay. So it's an extra feather in your cap or financial planning strategy to help you manage your income for those premium tax credit reasons. And then the last thing, and done lots of videos, we've done some talk shows on this as well, the idea of shoeboxing your HSA, using it as a retirement vehicle, as a future, not a intermediate, or an immediate short-term cash flow plan, but instead something that's long-term. And if you do that and manage and just handle your out-of-pocket expenses out of your own cash flow, then the HSA dollars that you're saving up could be invested, since they'd now be long-term dollars. And if they were invested and grew, all that growth would be tax-free, and you could save up all your receipts that you're using for out-of-pocket expenses, reimburse yourself out there in the future from your HSA. I know I cover that very, very quickly with a bunch of stutters. It's a very complicated concept, done lots of videos on it before, but wanted to mention it here as well. All right, so all of that requires working with your CFP. Should you fund these new maximum amounts? If so, how? And are you leveraging the HSA to make to have it benefit your overall financial situation to the maximum potential? Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.